Like, I didn't know
Yeah.
you could do that shit either. Right?
Yeah.
Angelo was just like, pow! Just like,
And he just landed on the audience and he was carried by everybody and it was beautiful.
I was just like, holy shit, what's happening right now? And so he climbs up the Palladium, and this has to be like 100 feet in the air.
Easily.
Shirt off and stuff, and he's like singing, and then he just jumps off.
Yeah. And everybody caught him.
And the crowd catches him. And then he's like crowd surfing. And I was like, this shit is ridiculous. I've never seen anything. You know,
Stunning.
at the time, like New York rock, New York punk rock, everybody came to New York for their punk rock creds, right? Even though, you know, punk rock was British, right? But if you were British, you had to come to New York in order for it to be real, and you had to play CBGBs, right?
Yep.
That was the spot. So I remember just going to CBGBs and just seeing crazy shit. Like I saw Brains at CBGBs, and that was just like bananas.
Yeah.
But the West Coast wasn't really doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't really interested in the West Coast when it came to anything like hip hop, rock, whatever. We were just like everybody out there chilling.
Like everybody in California was into their stuff, but we in New York were not interested at all.
Like, what do you have to bring to New York City? It's like nice out there, and everybody has a house, and there's palm trees. Like, you're not really killing anything. Like, you're good.
We just thought they were weak in like because we're from New York.
What are you bringing? Like, what, you know, and, you know, New Yorkers are assholes. We're just like, prove
It's
it.
so true. It's
you know
so
what I'm
true.
saying? Like, prove that you guys can rock.
It's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Fishbone came in and kicked the shit out of everybody. And we were just like,
destroyed.
I remember one of my homeboys, Anthony Johnson, who was in this band called 24/7 Spies, right?
Yeah.
And 24/7 Spies was the New York black rock band. Like even before Living Color was, it was 24/7 Spies. Because 24/7 Spies was like street level, like
they were hard. We're 24/7 Spies. Who the fuck are you? We were like, oh.
And they were from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Like they're from the Bronx. They did a cover of Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang. And we were just like, y'all are this shit, right? Fishbone came in and destroyed them. Destroyed. And we couldn't believe it. And so I was talking to my boy Anthony, right? And I was just like, y'all opened for Bone. And he was like, Fishbone was the only band that got us. He was like, that was the only band that could kill us. Because they were like, there was nobody on the planet who could beat the Spies in New York City. But Fishbone came in and like destroyed. So they really like, they changed the climate. And, you know, I kind of wasn't into the Chili Peppers because of Bone, right?
It's literally true.
Because the Chili Peppers kind of stole Fishbone's vibe, especially like their stage vibe. And I don't think this is a secret. Like I think Flea and Anthony Kiedis and them cats are just like, nah, Fishbone was...
They learned everything. They learned everything from Fishbone.
I think the Chili Peppers saw Fishbone and did the same thing. Like, we could do that. And they did it. And, you know, because of race and record labels and all of that stuff, Chili Peppers took off. And Bone didn't.
That was hard.
It always, like, annoys me because, like, Anthony Kiedis can't even sing. And, like, Angela Moore is, like, an amazing... Every person in that band can sing.
Yeah.
Everybody in the band can sing.
And great harmonies. But, you know, I have to say, like, over the years, I've come to appreciate the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Because, you know, when I was young as a musician, it was about the competition of it. And I took the racial element of it personally, right? But listening to them guys pay homage to who influenced them.
Oh, that Higher Ground cover, that was the thing that got me. When they did the Higher Ground cover, I was like, I was converted.
Yeah, and then knowing they know, and then appreciating them for what they are, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of cool. I'm good with Chili Peppers. Like, I like them. You know, I like them. And Flea is a good player. You know, he's a good player. I mean, Frusciante is a good player. They're all good players. but as when they came together as a band, I was like, okay, this works. I was like expecting something on the level of Fishbone, but it's not a competition. They're them, Bone is Bone.
They're different.
So, Ahmed, tell me about your history with drums. When did you start playing drums, and like kind of what got you into drums specifically?
I really started playing drums. I started playing percussion with my mom at the West Beth. My mother used to take these shaker rate classes, and so we all went. And I think I was 6. Dunia, you were like 8 or something like that.
Yeah, but I think we even started earlier than that because my mom always had drums around. We were always playing drums.
Yeah, I was always playing, but I didn't like formally like.
That's true. There was no official training until that.
The first official training was Shaker Ray, right, at the West Beth with Women of the Calabash. And then in junior high school, we moved from the Bronx to Jersey. And in junior high school, I wanted to be in the band. And the instruments that I liked, I was like, okay, saxophone's going to take me a minute. Trombone's going to take me a minute. What can I play like right now in the band, right? And so our band director in junior high school, his name was Vern Miller. He was a bass player. And Vern, his big thing was like he was like a session player with the Beatles, like for 1 or 2 gigs, and he would talk about it every day.
They opened for his band opened for the Beatles.
And his band opened for the Beatles. But Vern was like
on a tour.
Yeah, but Vern was legit. Like he was a legit musician, and he was like kind of like one of those almost like burnout, bass players from the 60s who was just like, I'm just trying to figure it out and live. Let me just go be a band director in a middle school. But he was serious, like he was legit. And so I started taking drum lessons with Vern, and it was simple, like drumsticks and a pad. And I kind of caught on pretty quick. And I think Vern was like, oh, I want a drummer in this band because I want to play bass, right? And so he just kept pushing me. And at the time, I didn't have a drum set at home. So I would like set up cardboard boxes in my parents' basement. And I would just like play the boxes like it was a drum set, right?
Mm.
And Vern was like, he was like, are you practicing at home? Do you have a drum set? And I was like, nah, but I have these like cardboard boxes that I set up in my parents' basement. And he was like, you what? And I think he really dug that. Like he dug that I had that kind of ingenuity and go get it. Right? Initiative. So he really started paying a lot more attention to me as a drummer. And then there was this drummer in high school who I'm still connected to today, or in junior high. His name is John Connett. And John was just dope.
Brilliant.
Like, and then we had a jazz band in middle school. So I would go to jazz band and Connect would play, and I was just watching the drums. And I was like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to play drums.
He was a spectacular, like as a preteen, he was like an amazing drummer.
He still is. Like he's still dope.
I know he's doing African drums and stuff now. He's great.
Yeah, he's still dope. He's still dope. So I was like, I want to play like John Connect. So I just like set up the drums all the wrong way, and I just started like practicing. I started playing, and then John was like, all right, hi-hat goes here, snare drum goes here, and I was just like, okay, but like groove stuff I got because of the cardboard boxes. I just had to like organize like the kick and all of that stuff. So I remember Vern was just like, why don't you come to jazz band and just like watch? So I went to jazz band and I watched, and then Connect was like, you want to play a tune? And I was like, sure. I think it was like Africa by Toto or something like that. And I had listened to it so many times. Like I was just like, oh, I can play that. And then the music was there, and I was an okay reader at the time. So I was just like reading it, and Vern was like, you're going to be a good drummer. And then, Connect was in Dunia's year, so they graduated. And I had like 2 years to be in the jazz band. So I was just
great.
I was the drummer in the jazz band in middle school. And I was just like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. And then I remember my 8th grade graduation, the jazz band played. and I think we were playing like Jailhouse Rock or something like that, like with Elvis.